The Cincinnati Bengals are looking pretty good and they are finally back to playing good football. This game that the Bengals played versus San Francisco 49ers has officially convinced me that they are back to playing good football. I mean, I really like what I saw from this team. And like I said, I think the Cincinnati Bengals are back, and I think the same thing that they did last year is going to happen again this year. They're going to go on a super hot streak and they're going to be playing insane football. And maybe that's just how it's going to be. The Bengals are going to have a slow start, and then towards midseason they're going to catch on fire and start playing insane football, like I said. So I think it would be a good idea to break down this Bengals team, see what's clicking for them, and give my predictions for them moving forward and what I expect them to do going forward and the rest of the season, of course. But before I get into it, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and comment what you guys think about the Bengals moving forward into the season. And let's get straight into it. First off, I think it would be a great thing to talk about Joe Burrow, because I'm not gonna lie, Joe Burrow was facing some heat from a lot of fans and a lot of people around the NFL in the beginning of the season. But honestly, I think he's back, and I think he's finally 100% healthy, and I think this is going to be a really good thing moving forward. Of course, if you don't know, in training camp, Joe Burrow suffered a calf injury. A lot of people were scared about it, and well, he got a little bit healthy throughout the weeks, and he managed to play week 1, but at the beginning of the year, he wasn't playing his best. The stats show that clearly that calf injury was affecting Burrow, and when something is affecting Joe Burrow and he's not 100% healthy, it's going to affect this whole Bengals offense as a whole, and that's clearly what happened, as we can see. A lot of people were saying the Bengals were washed and they're finished and they're not a playoff team, and I mean, those first 4 games that the Bengals played, you could honestly go ahead and say that they didn't play well versus the Browns, barely versus the Ravens. I mean, that Rams game was very close, and the versus the Titans, they just got absolutely obliterated. And then that Cardinals game happened, and that really started to convince me that Burrow was getting healthier. I really like what I saw. Of course, Jamarr Chase had a monster game, and then they played a decent game versus the Seahawks, and then reports came out after the bye week and all that Joe Burrow's calf was 100% healthy going into that 49ers game, and man, I felt like it was going to be trouble, and that's clearly what happened. The Bengals would go ahead and win that game 31-17. The offense was balling out, and the defense was also playing pretty well, I would say. Joe Burrow had a wonderful stat line with 87.5 completion percentage, 283 yards thrown, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, and a passer rating of 134.8. I mean, those are just amazing numbers all around. In my opinion, I think the defense played pretty well. I mean, they held San Fran to 17 points. That's pretty good, I would say, for an offense like that. And they made Brock Purdy turn over the ball 2 times and not have the greatest stats in the world. Now, some people might go ahead and say Purdy's still dealing with that concussion, Trent Williams is out, Debo's out. Still, I feel like holding the Niners to 17 points is a big accomplishment, even under some of these circumstances. So yes, I really like what I saw from the Bengals this game. It was amazing. I think they played a pretty good game. So here's the thing. I think it would be a fair idea to talk about what I expect them to do for the rest of the season, because honestly, if they're going to play like this for the rest of the season, I feel like they should have some pretty high expectations, and they should do pretty well going forward. Now here's another thing with the Bengals. They don't have a cakewalk easier schedule for the rest of the year. I mean, they got some tough games. Coming up on this Sunday, they're going to have to play a game at home versus the Buffalo Bills, and I mean, of course, there's going to be a ton of storylines going into this game, a whole bunch of talk. This game is going to be a huge one. But at home, honestly, I feel like Cincinnati is going to go ahead and win this game as long as the offense plays well. Buffalo has been so up and down this year. I mean, they've struggled in times and they've been really good at times, but honestly, I think the Bengals are going to come out of this one and they're going to get a win. And then they play a game versus the Houston Texans. Now, some people might not be worried, be like, oh, it's just the Texans, but hold on. The Texans have been keeping it close with some of these teams this year, so I would not write off Houston in any way, shape, or form like that. And of course, number 7 on the Houston Texans, their quarterback, CJ Stroud. That man can ball out. Wonderful quarterback. But anyways, let's get back to the Bengals. And then this game that they're going to have on Thursday night on the road versus the Baltimore Ravens is going to be a huge game. Now, personally, as a Raven fan, I know that Cincinnati is a legit football team. I'm not one of those guys who would be like, oh, they're Cincinnati, we're going to take care of them, I'm not worried about them, we own them. No, I'm not going to go ahead and say that. I know the Cincinnati is a legit football team, and they can definitely go ahead and beat the Ravens. This game is definitely going to be huge for a lot of reasons, especially for the Bengals. If the Bengals honestly want any chance at winning the division this year and not wanting to be a wild card team, they're definitely going to have to win this game, because this would definitely affect the standings of the AFC North a lot. And of course, if they were to lose this game, it would drastically lose their chances at going ahead and winning the division this year, because, you know, the Ravens would go ahead and sweep them. The Ravens are currently in first place right now, so that's also something that they should watch out for. And then after that, they have a game versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, and man, some of those games versus Steelers are just all around crazy. Those AFC North divisional games are just all around wild. And then after that, they have a game on the road versus Jacksonville. That's also going to be a very interesting game. 2 high-powered offenses, and honestly, Jacksonville's defense has been playing pretty nice this season. And then they have a game versus the Colts at home. They should definitely be able to take care of those guys. And then a game at home versus the Vikings. I mean, you shouldn't really have to worry about them either. The Vikings are kind of in shambles right now. And then these last 3 games of the season are going to be very important for the Bengals. One at Pittsburgh that they're probably going to have to win. One on New Year's Eve at Kansas City that everyone's getting hyped about. It's going to be one of the insane games on New Year's Eve. And then they close out the season at home versus the Cleveland Browns. And we all know how the Browns have been playing this year. They blew them out in week 1, and that Browns defense is truly legit. I mean, the Bengals have a pretty tough schedule to close out the season. I'm not going to lie. They have some pretty good teams, and they got some pretty mediocre teams. So it's going to be really interesting to see what this Bengals team does. But I do think the offense is back, and I clearly think that this team can go ahead and win some games versus some of these good teams like Kansas City, Jacksonville, and Buffalo. And with the division being so close right now, I mean, I guess there's a chance they could go ahead and win the division. Because if you look at the standings right now, you'd be like, wow, all these teams have winning records. That's all around crazy as of right now. Yeah, with that, for the rest of the season, I expect good things from the Bengals, and I really think they're going to ball out rest of the year. I'm so happy that they're back. As a Raven fan, personally, I think their offense is so electric, and I just love watching it, except when they play the Ravens, then we got a problem, but besides that. But real quick, before I end off the video, I think it's a good idea just to go over this Bengals team once again and show what players they got and just discuss the players that they have and why this team is a really good team when everyone is 100% healthy and locked in. Of course, we should all know number 9 on the Bengals, the quarterback, Joe Burrow. He's an all-around baller, one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL in my opinion. But yeah, when this dude's 100% healthy, like I showed you guys earlier, he's a baller. He can play really well. Now this wide receiver room is all around amazing. Jamarr Chase, one of the top wide receivers in the NFL, of course. And then they have an amazing wide receiver too, one of the best people at the jump ball in the NFL when the ball is getting thrown to them, T. Higgins. This man is insane. And of course, also they got Tyler Boyd to fill that wide receiver 3 role, and he's probably one of the best wide receiver 3s in the NFL, to be honest with you guys. And then they also have Joe Mixon at running back, and I mean, he is a pretty decent running back, I would say. Pretty much a good thing to have, I would say, in the Cincinnati offense. And then they got some guys on defense like Sam Hubbard, DJ Reed, Trey Hendrickson, Logan Wilson, some all-around dogs on the defensive side of the football. I'm not gonna go ahead and lie to y'all. So this defense is pretty good in my opinion. I mean, they got some pieces that I really do like. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard. They can do some great things on that defensive end. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you guys with this video is, of course, what the title says, the Cincinnati Bengals are back, and I want to tell you guys one more thing before I go ahead and end the video. The Cincinnati Bengals are back, and do not be surprised if the Bengals go ahead and go on a run this playoffs, because you know what? They went to the Super Bowl. They went to the AFC Championship game. Do not be surprised if something like this happens again. Joe Burrow and Jamarr Chase are a dynamic duo. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe. It is very much appreciated. And if you enjoyed this video, you might go ahead and enjoy some of the other videos I make, such as these 2 right here. So please go ahead and go check it out. And I will see you guys in the next video.